Do I start over? I can praise the Lord that I have a testimony to bring and that the Lord blessed us with this trip to Georgia. I'm sure most of you heard that we weren't going to go, and because we'd already had two other big trips planned this year, and the Lord made a way. I mean, He really, when He makes a way, He really makes a way. We first looked and it was going to be like $500 a person. Then it went down. And then we heard an Alaska thing come up and it went down. We ended up getting $69 one way. So we ended up going, both of us going for 286. And so that was the first miracle. And Pastor Darrell had asked us to go, and Georgia hasn't been getting many visitors, and they were extremely grateful that we showed up. And it was about half the size of what it was last year. And so I could see that they were a little panicked and whatnot. And so it was a real blessing for us to be there, and it was a blessing for them to have the visitors that came. And the first shocking thing it was is, I got to see Ange, and I hadn't seen her in a year. And praise the Lord, she needs our prayers. Um, and that was kind of sad, but her attitude and her rejoicing in her circumstance, I've never seen that kind of grace under dire circumstances like that. She joyful, and she's funny still, and she just has such a tremendous attitude even though her life's being threatened. And so that was so uplifting to see. It was wonderful to see our brothers and sisters. We got to see Axel, and he had an amazing testimony. Michael Haydock gave a pretty a pretty funny talk when he gave his talk about getting stuck in your own headspace. And it was actually pretty good because it all started when he saw some guy fell down the escalator, and he was just sitting there watching instead of doing something. And he just gave a whole, if you have a chance, look it up, because it was pretty good about how we get locked into inaction in our own headspace. And so all the talks were wonderful. It was wonderful to see the brothers and sisters. I got a chance to sit for quite a while with Anthony and Jeff Hirschberger. And it's those kind of things. I mean, the talks build you up, but it's those individual interactions you have with people that really build you up, because you're hearing their testimonies, what's going on in their lives, how they're overcoming and whatnot, in addition to the testimonies and the talks that we heard, which all were pretty amazing. Bobby was kind of amped up and not sure what happened there, but he was on fire, like he'd had too much coffee or something. But it was very exciting. And people, you didn't fall asleep in his talk, that was for sure. And I just really praise the Lord that He gives us these opportunities to go to these different places for us to be built up. And it meant a lot to me, and I was really rejoicing. And I gave this awesome testimony about an epiphany that I had. And then I felt so strong in the Lord when I was there, and I got back, and one little thing, man, just the enemy just got to me, because he knew I was feeling pretty good about how comfortable I was with recognizing his doings and comings and goings, and how when I recognize that he has no power over me, well, something silly happened and I got all wound up and just didn't see it. And probably because I gave a testimony and gave the glory to the Lord, the enemy decided to come after me. But I give praise and glory that I have a husband who reminds me what's what. And Lee Lee Tharps was also very good about that and whatever they're all going through. And everybody's going through stuff, but we still get to all rejoice in the Lord. And I can really praise the Lord that we had such an awesome time there with our brothers and sisters. And if anybody gets a chance to go next year, unless the Lord works a miracle, I'm not sure Ange is going to be there. And so it's just that's a hard thing to think about. But whether we go or whether she goes or whether she stays, she's got the victory and she's going to overcome. And it's a testimony to us who can watch her go through all this with such grace. So I really praise the Lord.